Hello, my name is Eccentric Spirit. I'm sitting here trying to do another video for YouTube. uh, I don't know. I might do a video for TikTok too, but right now this is probably going on YouTube. So basically, my name is Eccentric Spirit. I'm new to this. If you want to support me, my Cash App is $ Eccentric Spirit, EccentricSpirit. Get in, be an early supporter, subscriber, or whatever they call it. I'm still learning, so I'm cooking in the kitchen while I'm building it. What I want to talk about is red flags. I heard someone say something the other day and it stuck with me. And they said when it comes to relationships, there's always red flags. It's just many times in the beginning of a relationship when we're making a connection with someone and we're falling in love or we're falling in lust, or it's the honeymoon period of a relationship, we minimize the red flags because we like the person, we're feeling the person. Then as the relationship goes on, those little things we thought was cute or quirky now gets on our last nerve, right? Or when a relationship breaks up, now we're really upset and we start talking about those red flags. So I'll see guys talk about how a woman wears her hair, she wears makeup, her clothes are provocative, sexy, or, it's like, oh, you dress too sexy. You're a mother now. Like, yo, when you met me, I was dressing sexy. It wasn't an issue. Why is it an issue now? Well, you're a mother. Or they don't want you wearing makeup, but you met them wearing makeup. Not only have men been known to minimize red flags or ignore them, but women are very well known. Girls, young ladies, women are known for ignoring red flags. They say women get into relationships hoping men will change or they can change a man. And men get into relationships hoping a woman doesn't change, that she stays the same. And on both fronts, it's unrealistic expectations. But how many times, somebody out here with the music messing up my broadcast. How many times have we seen women have all kinds of knowledge about what a man's doing? Illegal activities to make money. I mean, we got women out here, married women, girlfriends, fiancés, wives, who know their husbands have killed people. They know where the bodies are at, and they don't say anything. The police and detectives love these women because as soon as the relationship ends or something goes wrong, the guy has an affair, dumps the woman for another woman, usually younger, prettier. Or all of a sudden the guy gets caught. Now all of a sudden they want to turn state's evidence. Like, the guy cheats on them. I can tell you where 2 bodies are buried. Like, what? And the police be like, why didn't you say anything? Well, I was afraid he would kill me. He threatened to kill me if I told anybody. Nah, a lot of times he didn't threaten to kill you. You just mad because he dumped you. He left you high and dry with the kiddos, or he had an affair on you. And now that he's not taking care of you and the kids the way you're used to being taken care of, now he's spilling the beans. So we've seen all kinds of red flags with people in relationships, and we minimize them or ignore them until it doesn't suit us anymore. And so basically, I don't know how to do a live yet. So if I was doing a live, I would be asking the audience, what red flags did you see in the beginning of a relationship that you made excuses for, smoothed over, and you lived to regret it? You're like, what was I thinking? I knew this guy had a crazy temper. I knew this woman was treacherous. Or it could be family red flags. You may have got involved with someone that had a messed up family. You knew they came from a messed up family. All kinds of issues. Either they're violent, criminal, family. You knew the family had issues. It could even be a very strict religious family. You knew what was up with the family and you ignored it because you wanted to be with the person so bad. Then you had to deal with all their family members with all the issues, and you're like, oh, why did I marry into this family? So please share with me in the comments what types of red flags you ignored and lived to regret it. And how do you feel about red flags? And when you notice the red flags, how did you justify it to yourself? Or did you let the person convince you that, oh, this is a little problem right now, but I'm working on it? Oh, yeah, I got a little drug problem, but I'm working on it. I'm going to NA, Narcotics Anonymous. Oh, yeah, I got a little alcohol problem, but it's under control. I'm going to AA. You should have met me a year ago. A year ago, I was downing 2 bottles of wine. Now I'm just down in a half a bottle. You should have met me a year ago or 2 years ago. Chronic unemployment, chronic laziness. Weight. Weight can be an issue. Somebody either eating too much or being extremely overweight, or not eating enough, not eating, being healthy, being anorexic, bulimic. And they convinced you, yeah, I had a little issue with anorexia or bulimia, but I've been seeing my therapist, I'm working on it. And now you live in fear that this person's going to drop dead right in front of you because they're not eating. Or you're with somebody that's in denial about their weight. At the end of the day, you can be extremely big and not healthy, or you can be extremely thin and not healthy. And you have to get yourself checked out. So, what do you do with the red flags? If you have issues, share with me how you minimized your red flags in a relationship. Someone will bring up something. And you're like, oh, I'm on top of that. Don't worry. I'm going to take care of that. Oh, I'm handling that now. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that with me. I'm working on it. So, red flags. What red flags do you have? What red flags have you seen in others? How did you minimize, make excuses for? How did you deal with the red flags? I'm very loyal, so I can see red flags all over the place. And, I'll try to ignore it, make excuses for the person, overcompensate. But a lot of times it doesn't matter. You can turn yourself into a pretzel. The red flags are going to remain until the person with the issues does something about it. You know? I was just at this, I was just in this building, this public building where they're supposed to help people. And, the staff are burned out. They don't want to really help anybody. They're adhering strictly to the rules where it's just a nightmare. And I equated it, I'd never been in prison before, but it reminded me of like a prison. And I said, what am I going to do here? Am I going to keep banging my head up against the wall, dealing with this public organization, or am I just going to go with the flow? I know what I'm dealing with, so I have to find a way to work around this public organization. But I said, God help me. If I ever get some money, I will get my own organization so people don't have to put up with this. So some people will have a place to go. I'll have my own charity, my own organization where people can go, relax, get help, get resources, have a sense of community without putting out with all this. You know? I was just looking like, wow. And then also I had compassion and empathy. Even though I felt the people that worked here was getting in the way of me and other people accomplishing what we were trying to accomplish, because they were just so strict and uptight. You know, it was just a nightmare dealing with people that's supposed to deal with the public. It's like going into a restaurant and being mistreated. But yet the people want you to give them a nice tip. Like, are you joking? You know, this place is such a nightmare. I know I can make up my own. I can get my own restaurant. If I get me some money, I can open up my own restaurant. That happens a lot of times. It's so hard to run a successful restaurant because everybody thinks they can do it. And usually what happens, you have these bad experiences and you look around and say, I can do better than this. And so I will give them credit. The work is extremely taxing. It's hard dealing with the public, but you know, I keep going to this organization because I have to, and I'm like, yeah, you guys are getting a D, C minus, getting a D plus, C minus on the other days. Just a total nightmare. So you can see here, I got a little red here that represents the red flags. How do you deal with red flags when it comes to yourself, other people, as well as organizations, workplaces, community places, neighbors? You know, I either freeze or I flee. I don't like to fight. So I usually let everything build up, then I explode. And people usually love when you explode because then they try to make you look crazy. And I'm an African American woman, so you know they love to do that angry black woman thing. Oh, there's another one. There's another angry black woman. And you're just frustrated and tired of people taking advantage of you and taking your niceness as a weakness or kindness. So red flags. I'm noticing red flags, and I'm looking at how I deal with them in people now. And what I'm noticing is now that I'm older, I'm a little more conscious of my boundaries. Before I had loosey-goosey boundaries and let people, you know, walk all over me like I was a doormat. And it's a process. It's a process. And so I'm noticing now that I don't tolerate as much as I used to tolerate. I speak up for myself and I look at people's red flags now and I notice them immediately and I say to myself, not putting up with this. I'm just not putting up with it. I have my breaking points. And you know, my favorite words now are no más. I think that means no more in Spanish. I think no más means no more in Spanish. I say no más now and I keep it moving. Okay? And I think it's more than just age. I think I changed a lot during the pandemic. You know, when it was crazy during that pandemic and we didn't know what was going on and people were dropping like flies. You know, I knew people that was getting the coronavirus and dying. So I know other people was running around saying it was a hoax and all that. Where I come from and where I was at, it wasn't a hoax. People were dropping like flies. Okay? And I started looking at my life and being grateful for a lot of things I was able to do. But it was still a lot of things I wanted to do and accomplish that I hadn't been able to accomplish yet. So I said, I don't want to die like this, not getting the corona. Mm-mm. I'm not afraid of dying, but I am afraid of how I will die. So I don't want to die like this, not with the corona. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And in evaluating my life, I realized I put up with a lot of people's mess. I put up with a lot that I had no business putting up with. And wasted a lot of time and energy and giving people breaks that didn't deserve breaks and opportunities and helping out people who didn't help me out when I needed help. I'm very loyal and I have a lot of pride. So when I come to you, it's serious. And if I don't get any kind of help, I have a problem. Because I'm like, yo, I helped you out. I remember I kept helping this person out, and every time I needed them for something, they couldn't help me. I said, oh, all right. I won't be helping this person out again. You know? And so I made a pledge to myself. I'm just not going to put up with some of the stuff I put up with before. Ah, another notification. I keep forgetting to turn off my notifications. Anyway, I notice people red flags now, and I keep it moving. I try to avoid a lot of drama. I don't want a lot of issues, a lot of problems. And I was always like that. But you'd be surprised. People realize you're not down with the drama. They'll try to chase you down to get you caught up in some mess. You ever meet people like that? Hurt people hurt people. And so when somebody shows you who they are, when they show you their red flags, you got to believe it. I used to be one of those people, oh, they must be having a bad day today. No, they may not be having a bad day. What you see is what you get. This is not a bad day. This is part of their personality. You know? And I'm just like, with, I like to say because I'm getting older, but it was really the pandemic. The pandemic made me realize there's just certain things I'm not willing to put up with anymore. I just don't have it in me anymore. I don't have it in me. And I'm always looking at what people are going through. Like right now it's tough economic times. A lot of Americans are struggling. And I've been fortunate enough to be in a position where I can see what's going on the front lines, and it's scary. And I think about people that are hurting. I'm sensitive. So I think about people like, I'm looking at all the people in Hawaii that have lost their loved ones and lost their homes and their cars. It's just like, yo. Somebody was telling me today, they saw on the internet, they're going to be discovering a lot of kids passed away. And it's like the media doesn't really want to report it because they don't want to upset people. But we need to know if children were home from school and they're missing and gone. They're saying upwards of 1,000 people are missing. I'm hoping to God they made it out safely. They're hunkered down somewhere and the numbers go down as they begin to account for people, but I don't see it happening. And I don't know, is it you or is it me? But does it seem like we don't have the normal response we normally have when someone in a state has faced a natural disaster or a man-made disaster? Some people are saying this is man-made. They're allegedly blaming the electric company, saying they didn't turn off the electric, power lines. It was really windy. Power lines fell down. That's how the fire started. We have one guy showing his cell phone footage, claiming that's how the fire started. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out what happened. I know it's a tragedy. I've never seen anything like it before. My sympathy and heart goes out, and prayers go out to the people of Hawaii that have lost loved ones, lost their homes, their cars. The locals were already struggling with outside developers, rich people coming in, taking over, trying to take over land, privatize public spaces. You know, it's almost like a gentrification of sorts. And then for this to happen, and now I hear you got real estate people, land developers trying to come in, pressure people to sell their property for pennies on the dollar, because now all they're seeing an opportunity. Instead of seeing trauma, seeing people in pain, helping fellow Americans, they're coming in there in Hawaii trying to get some land. You know, they're looking at the scorched land and they see dollar signs. You know, and I really feel there's a special place in HE double hockey stick for people like this. You know, you couldn't even wait till they recovered all the bodies and you already out there trying to get some land. It's a shame. It's really sad. And again, these are red flags. Look at these people and how they behave. Remember the people that came in, helped the locals, helped Hawaiians during their trauma, time of need, and then remember the people charging $5 for a bottle of water. Okay? Because I do believe there's a special place in HE double hockey stick for people like that. So red flags. I wish I could do a live. I can't wait until I learn how to do a live. Because right now I would be reading comments and asking questions. But like, what is the craziest red flag you saw in the beginning of a relationship or while you was dating somebody and you minimized it because you wanted that person? I'll tell you one of my red flags. I was with this guy and we were dating. And I was over at his place. And a woman popped up unexpectedly. I don't even think he was seeing this woman. I'm not sure if he was seeing her or not. But he was so upset that this woman popped up unannounced to his home. And he went and answered the door. She didn't see me. I didn't see her. But I never forget. He kind of said a few little words to her. His tone was very nasty and mean. And he slammed the door in her face. He was so hot that this woman popped up unannounced. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And so it gave me a glimpse into what he could one day do to me. But you know, at the time it wasn't happening to me, so I didn't worry about it. But it gave me a small window on how this guy can treat a woman. And I just felt the slamming of the door was unnecessary. You could tell someone, I'm busy, I can't talk to you right now. I wish you would have called before you popped over. You could have said all kinds of stuff and quietly closed the door. The red flag for me was the slamming of the door. And so needless to say, later on down the line, I just saw that this guy was arrogant, rude, nasty, disrespectful. You know, his life was falling to pieces. He was taking it out on everybody. And that rude behavior started to rear its ugly head left and right. And I can't say I wasn't warned, you know? But I never forget the way he slammed that door in that woman's face. It was like, and I was in shock. And I wanted to mind my business, so I didn't ask him who it was and what was going on. But it was a nightmare. From everything I could tell, he wasn't seeing anybody, but I couldn't be for sure. I couldn't know for sure. But it was a prelude to things that were going to come in the future, you know? And I'll never forget that door slamming. Bam! I'm like, what kind of man slams a door in a woman's face like that, you know? And you try to make excuses, and I'm not going to lie, I tried to make excuses for this guy. Because I wanted to be with them. I wanted to be with them, so I tried to make excuses. But that was a red flag I wish I didn't ignore. I wish I would have remembered that and just kept it moving. You know, I didn't have to see this guy again. We could be friends, but we didn't have to see each other. So I do remember that. That was a big old red flag. And I notice when I'm really into someone, I will ignore the flags and minimize. And so that's why when I heard this, I said, "Ooh, I've done that before." In fact, I've seen a lot of people do it. And you know who we really see it happen with? We see it happen a lot with politicians, celebrities, and athletes. Oh my goodness. The things celebrities, athletes, and politicians get away with. Because we like a particular politician doing something for the community, or maybe they've done something for us personally. Hey, listen. I'm fans of some celebrities I know I shouldn't be fans of. They got red flags all over the place. You know? I like some musicians I know I should have no business liking. The red flags are everywhere. But you minimize. You're like, oh, well, that happened a long time ago. No, they haven't gotten in any trouble recently. I really love their music. We see red flags. We give people breaks. I mean, I'm going to be doing, I like basketball, so I'm going to be doing a couple of recordings about athletes. And I'm glad I'm not showing my face, because, these athletes be getting upset. But, John Morant, woo, we saw red flags with him. And he had everybody convinced. He had me convinced he learned his lesson. I thought things were happening too fast. He was smoothing everything over. It's all good. It's all good. I learned my lesson. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And then he got in the same trouble again. He's like, what is this? Is this a broken record? And for those people too young enough to remember records or know what records are, if you had a record that skipped or was broken, it would repeat the same lyric over and over again. It would get stuck. And it would just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. So when he repeated the thing with the gun, I said, oh my goodness. I'm a big Warriors fan, so I didn't know anything about John Morant. John Morant to me was just the guy that could dunk, that didn't participate in dunking contests, and he was on the Memphis Grizzlies, who the Warriors couldn't stand. So if you're a Warriors fan, you knew every time the Warriors played the Memphis Grizzlies, it was going to be on and popping. Because basically it was like a lot of young people on the Memphis Grizzlies, and they was always talking trash to the teams, especially the Warriors. And so you always looked forward to the games. So that's all I knew about John Morant. He was the guy that could dunk, that didn't do dunking contests, and he was on the Memphis Grizzlies. Then all that stuff popped off, I made excuses for him because he was young. So there were red flags. I minimized them because he was young. He was a star athlete. I like NLE Choppa. I was mad at John Moran. He messed up the commercial with the sports drink because I love that sports drink, and I can't remember all the flavors, but I know what colors to grab when I'm in the market buying that sports drink. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna see the NLE Choppa and John Morant commercial with my one of my favorite sports drinks. I was like, oh, I was so upset and frustrated. But I made excuses for this guy because he was young. And then I was really upset at this strip club that released the footage. I said, if he's a VIP paying all this money, how does footage get out, these pictures, you know? And I just made a lot of excuses for this guy. And then when it happened again, I was like, oh, we can't minimize anymore. The red flags are there. And what the NBA has to do, they have to basically do, the NBA first has to have to recognize the red flags. You got a lot of young, talented athletes who need mentorship. And I like what the Utah Jazz has. Um, I'm hoping whenever Iguodala retires, I hope they put him in charge of like a program like they have in Utah Jazz with the Warriors. I think he's really good talking to the young players and all that. He's very intelligent. And I just like the way he carries himself. I always liked the way he carried himself. And he got my attention when he was with the 76ers. So I've been an Iguodala fan since he's been with the Sixers. So, and I noticed how he kind of moseyed on over to Jordan Poole when Jordan Poole snapped one game and was hollering at an assistant coach. He kind of moseyed on down and tried to calm him down and talk to him. But I believe the NBA, you need to have somebody that these athletes can talk to where they don't have to worry about stuff going to upper management. They can have a sounding board because you're under a lot of pressure. You're under the spotlight. You're young. You're making all this money. You got a target on your back. You're getting stressed out. And we're going to talk about Jordan Poole. I don't like to be verbally abusive, but we're going to be talking about Jordan Poole. I got a video that I'm going to put out. It's mostly audio because you're not going to see my face. But I'm going to let you know when Jordan Poole screwed up and how he screwed up. And how the Warriors tried to help him. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So hopefully, he's 24. He's on the Washington Wizards. He'll get it together. But yeah, we got to recognize these red flags and stop covering up for people. It was obvious John Morant. There's no way he got rehabilitated that fast. But they wanted him to play ball. I wanted to see him play ball too. So he thought he convinced everybody everything was going to be okay. And I've done that before. And a lot of times you're not being cruel, but you realize you're upsetting people. You don't want to see your loved ones, your friends, your family, your colleagues upset. So you're reassuring them. You're trying to reassure them that everything's okay. And it's not okay. Everything's a hot mess and you got all kinds of issues you got to work on. But you don't want people worrying about you. You don't want to be causing a problem. And so you lie and tell everybody, oh, it's all right. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And no, it's not going to be okay. And it's not okay. And when he was saying that, I said, there's no way. Whatever issues he have, even if he has a substance abuse issue, there's no way it's been taken care of in a matter of weeks. I think like maybe 2 weeks, they was like, oh, he good to go. I said, what kind of therapy did he get? What kind of help did he get? What kind of fast food therapy rehabilitation has he been through? I didn't know if it was chemical. I didn't know if he had a drinking issue, drug issue. I was hoping it was drinking or drugs because at least you could do something about that. They got all kinds of programs. If it's a behavioral issue or it's about people you're hanging out with, woo boy. And the first time he had an excuse. All he had to do was tell his best friend, listen, I'm hot, man. They watching me like a hawk. I can give you some money, but I can't hang out with you right now. I can't hang out with anybody. I'm on a strict probation. He had a ready-made excuse. He didn't even have to hang out with that guy he was hanging out with. He like, hey man, I can cash app you, but we can't be hanging out. Yeah, man. I'm on a curfew. They watching me. I'm like Cinderella. Got to be in by midnight, and I can't be going anywhere. Yeah, when things cool down, me and you can hang out. Even if you don't mean that, you got a ready-made excuse. You Ja Morant. No, he's still hanging out with the usual suspects. And so hopefully he'll be okay. I took that little blurb he did on social media. I took that seriously when he was saying goodbye to everybody. Are you paying attention to the red flags around you? Be it your children, your spouse, family members, friends, aunt, uncle, cousins. Are you paying attention to the red flags? Or are you minimizing red flags? Because you got your own problems. That's another thing we do. When we have our own problems and we're overwhelmed, we minimize all the red flags we see because we don't want to deal with it. If we recognize the red flags, then we have to do something about it. You know? We see that happen with a lot of active shooters. Everybody claim they didn't know. You're lying. A lot of people knew. They were either in a denial, they didn't want to get their hands dirty, or they were afraid. So they lied and said they didn't know. And innocent people died as a result of people not adhering to the red flags because they didn't want to deal with it. You can't tell me these active shooters, they don't live in isolation. Even when they're loners, people know about them. I'm running out of time here, so I got to sign out. Eccentric Spirit out. If you want to donate again, money sign EccentricSpirit, Eccentric Spirit. Over and out. Carpe Diem. Seize the day. Peace. Talk to you later.